and welcome to my presentation on autism awareness. My name is Jessica Dixon, and this is my signature project for my TEL 300 class, and I hope you enjoy it. The reason why I chose autism awareness is because I'm actually currently working with students with autism. I actually have I have two types of students. I have the higher functioning and the nonverbal. And autism in the education field is divided into two sections: mild, moderate, severe. I'm in section number 2, which is moderate severe. I love my students. They are the most amazing things, and so with this online learning, it's been a little hard. So it's all of an adjustment period. But in this presentation, we're going to learn a little bit more in depth on what autism is and how we can help detect it. And this just is a little video on what autism is. Basically, what autism is it's a condition characterized by challenges with social repetitive behaviors, speech, nonverbal communication. Now, this is something I didn't know, is that autism disorder impacts the nervous system, which is true. I always was curious why my students always flap their arms or do little bit of quirks, but I found out with teaching and observing that the little quirks help them control their behaviors, which is interesting. And so, but it can be a variety of symptoms, and common is like arm flapping. They don't look at you, and you do not force them to look at you. They will look at you when they feel the need that they are more comfortable with you. A lot of people get upset when someone else is talking to one of my students and they're looking at the ground. That's actually a form of autism, and so it just makes them a little uncomfortable. Now, there's 5 different types, which is the ASD, which is what I currently work with, Asperger's, CDD, which is childhood degenerative disorder, Rett's disorder, and pervasive development disorder. As of 2019, according to CDC, Asperger's disease is disorder is no longer a part of the spectrum. It is in its own little category, which is pretty interesting because it kind of ties into the other 4. So now this is also very neat. Some of the main symptoms to work for. Yes, I do have students that have the flat robotic voice. I do have students that have echolalia, which they repeat everything over and over and over again, which is what I've learned in my classroom is repeating is okay. It gets annoying, but it's good. And so don't hesitate. If you're new to this field, do not hesitate to repeat everything. Trust me, you're going to repeat everything 2 to 3 times. Also, which is cool that they have this, is that they have gifted and OCD. I have several students in my room that are very OCD. So if you mess up, they're kind of like their little feng shui. They will lose their marbles and have a behavior. So I've come to learn that if I do have students that have that OCD, just let them do it. Don't force them to do something else. And I love this picture because of it's okay to be different. I always tell my students it's okay. But now, a lot of people have their own theory on what autism is. I still am learning about it. It's a really mysterious thing to learn. So it's not a single disorder, but it is caused by abnormalities and chemical imbalance in the brain, which I still think is pretty interesting. This one is which is really cool. Main bullet point was that it affects certain groups. It affects all socioeconomic groups. You can be the richest person in America and get autism. And the neat thing is, which is interesting, a theory was that affected girls than boys. But when they did the study, as you can see here, it affected more boys than girls, which is pretty interesting. And we're still detecting the early signs of autism, which is really cool. And as you can see in the charts, the research This one is from 2014. This one right here on the right hand side is the current one for 2018. And as you see, it grew from when we first started categorizing autism in 2004 to 2018, which is current. It's 1 in 59, but right now, according with the other slide that I had, it's now 1 to 34, and that's mostly in boys. Social mobility, this is kind of just a little thing. In different countries, US is like on the 27th from the scale. The scale is like from 1 to, I believe, 82. So we're kind of 27th on the scale, which is good, which is not good. Sorry about that. So as you can see, these are like the eastern side of the hemisphere. Culture diversity, this one was an interesting one because, like, with autism, they can't look you in the eye. Because most cultures, you have to look them in the eye. So I found this cool little tidbit right here. What is autistic culture? And I love it. Autistic culture is everywhere. It's everywhere. It's not just with one person. And it's our shared history, the way autistic people move, communicate, create experience, and it's awesome, and it's a very beautiful thing. And we're still learning. Like, a lot of cultures are kind of adapting now if they have a child that has autism. Autism and vaccine. This was a huge hot button controversy. If you regard, there was an instance of Jenny McCarthy. She's a famous actress. She's on The Masked Singer. She had her own talk show. Her son was diagnosed with autism. She blamed vaccines for her son's autism. She says they ruined, had side effects, everything. That is true. Vaccines do have side effects, but it's proven that vaccines do not cause autism. It's very rare. And this chart was pretty interesting that I found because it's from 18 to 65. So you can see what definitely, and then you can also see the definitely not. So vaccines do not cause autism. School exceptions, especially with autistic children. This has been also another hot button issue, which is really interesting because, yes, a state law put in forth and tact that, yes, you have to be vaccinated. A lot of parents were not happy on that. With our school, it's the same thing. We are on top of everything, and we have to. Our district is now starting to get on board to be on top of everything because they were kind of, I'm going to be honest, they were a little lackadaisy, but a group of us in the special ed department got together, went to the board, and say, look, this is not okay. Parents are bringing kids that they're going to affect our kids. We've showed statistics that, vaccines are good. They don't cause autism. They don't cause all these other things. So it's always good, especially now with the pandemic going on. It's always good to keep in touch with on your vaccines. This is another technology program I use in my class, especially with autism. I'm going to pause it real quick there. And then it's really cool. It's called ThingLink, and it's amazing, and it's very interactive. I use this for my high-functioning kids. My low-functioning like to touch the buttons. My high-functioning likes to create neat, awesome presentations, and they're really good. I actually had a lesson on here, but it didn't really work out, so I found an amazing video that kind of gives a brief explanation on it. And you can do it anywhere. You can do it on a Chromebook, you can do it on an iPad, you can do it on your desktop, iPhone. Also, I believe it also has an app for it, and it's free. It doesn't cost anything. Behavior programs, which is really cool, is that one of the ones in the corners, one of the many ones I found also with what we do in our city, especially with kids that have special needs. When they come to our school, we deal with one of our schools, the largest, is the small school in the district, pardon me. And we follow what is called a BIP, behavior plan. And pretty much when students come to us, it's the last resort because their files are like a War and Peace novel. And so, as you see, I've written, yes, on a daily basis, we do daily records, we track behaviors, we label it, we have to do reports. If we have to do a severe report, which is a BEP or Behavior Emergency Plan, that's when we have to do a crisis intervention, we have to de-escalate, talk them down, and so that turns into more paperwork, and we have to continue to constantly track it. And as you see with my last point, we have a couple awesome programs just for the kids that have the special needs, that need like the extra socialization, need extra help in the class, need to help control the behavior. So, which is me, I highly recommend these. And plus, we also use AT technology in our classroom. I use, especially with my nonverbals, I do like they do iPads that dictate to them. I also implement icon boards. A lot of my nonverbals are visual stimulated learners, so I gotta make sure everything is on my board, visually accurate. I try to do as much interactive from the classroom as I can. My higher ones, I can just give them and say, hey, do this, this, and this, and they're actually very good at it. So, and it kind of does stem the behaviors. And then autism and the meditation is really cool because we do a lot of deep breathing exercises in our room. I also have a cool down area, so I know if they are having a behavior, then they use their icon, or they just let me know, say, hey, I need to go relieve some stress, I need to be by myself. I have a designated area for both of my types of my students. For like my nonverbals, there's pillows and stuff, they can just relax. There's a little table with putty and stuff. For my higher functioning ones that just have a need to de-stress, there's an area where they can just sit, breathe, relax, and clear their minds and everything, which is really cool. And so the journey begins. Like I said, we don't know exactly what causes autism, and as you saw throughout this presentation, we found out like how to detect early prevention, how to kind of diagnose it, how to kind of function with it. There's some good tips and strategies, what you can use in your classroom. The one thing I can't stress on enough is we need to learn awareness. It is not a stigma. This gets me so mad when they just say, okay, it's, they're like a disease. Autism is not a disease. It's part of life. And it's my heart that I love teaching these kids. And trust me, you get them, they teach, they're logical, rational, they're super cool, they're super smart. And they can live normal lives if they are taught to control it. So thank you very much for listening to me talk about autism. I appreciate it. I hope you got some good information from it.